Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of how to age a home site. Finally made it back. Whole lot of information to get to. I might even make this a part 3 series. I don't want to flood you with all kinds of information. I want to be able to sink in. Plus I don't want you to have to go through and skipping through parts of the video just to get through this long video. If you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. It's a great tip about surface fines. Surface fines plays a big role in pre-aging your home site. Alright, today's video has us in the center of this foundation of this home site. And with these tips that I'm going to share with you today, I'm going to explain to you how I use these tips to age this home site. Now, after finding my surface fines, I always want to be able to back up that information with something else. So I like to go look for my foundation of the home site. Now, there will be times, especially if you're metal detecting in fields or cleared areas, you won't find the foundation because they have been moved so the farmers could farm, and you'll just find a big stack of rocks or somewhere in the woods somewhere. I was lucky to find the foundation to this home site because this is way back up in the mountains and nobody has even come in here to clear or thinking about building a house up in here. So I was lucky to be able to find this foundation. Now, I normally find 2 types of foundations in my area. The first one is a cornerstone foundation, which is fairly large rocks set on all 4 corners of the house. Usually those are log homes, log cabins. This particular home site is a stacked rock foundation. Stacked rock foundations are constructed pretty much the same way as the rock walls are. Now, both of those types of foundations are popular for 17 and 1800 homes. The main purpose for these types of foundations were to be able to lift the house up off the ground so the moisture from the ground would not rot the floorboards or the construction materials that the house was made of. I'm going to pull you off of the tripod and I'm going to take you down and I want you to look at the stacked rock foundation. Hey guys, fast shout out for this video's shout out goes to Tag Team Recoveries. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. If you like seeing Civil War relics coming up out of the ground, if you like to watch metal detectorists out digging Civil War camps, that's the channel to go check out. So hop on over there, subscribe to their channel, like and share their videos, hit that bell icon so you'll know when the next videos are coming out. I know I do. So if you like Civil War relics coming out of the ground, Tag Team Recoveries, go check them out. Okay everyone, we have stepped down from the center of the foundation down to these rock piles here. Now this is what a stacked rock foundation looks like, but it has fallen some over the years. And it goes on all the way over there. This was a pretty good sized home. Sorry about the wind, guys. We're just going to have to work through this. Hopefully it turns out all right. Okay. Now there is 2 ways that I try to age this foundation. Now, from researching stacked rock foundations, I'm looking for whether cement was used or not. Now, me personally, if I had an availability to cement, I would have cemented these stones to stabilize the house better and to make it stronger. But I have searched and found no crumbles of cement or whatsoever of cement that's in between the rocks or nothing like that. So now cement was patented in 1820 in England, and they named it Portland cement. Portland is a name of a stone that is popular over in England that they use for their stone walls and their construction over there. That's why he named it Portland cement. Now, the cement in this area didn't come out into about the mid-1800s for constructions for houses or something like that. So that's how I knew I had a before an 1850s home site. I think, you know, I mean, it's all guesswork, trying to figure out the dates and stuff like that, you know. But through research, I try to figure out of how I can figure out how old these home sites are, and I'm going through research. So now the second way that I always want to look at on this stacked rock foundation is on the corners. Now, in the middle to late 1800s, they started using a type of like a rebar that they would stick in the sides of the corners and stack the rocks around them for stability for the corners of the house. This particular stacked rock foundation has rock stacked this way, then that way, then that way, and then that way. And that's how they try to stabilize their corners. So after I look at my foundation, the next thing I want to try to do is figure out how this house is positioned. Now what I mean by that is where the front is and where the back is. And that's going to play a big role once I come out here and start metal detecting, because I want to start metal detecting where the front is. That's where you're going to find most of your foot traffic, and that's where you're going to find your coins and your personal items and the good items, you know, that I'm looking for. Now the back of the house is where you're going to try to probably find your broken cups and plates and utensils and watch parts and stuff like that. Now in the 17 and 1800s, they didn't have trash bags or trash cans. So give you a prime example. If the wife was inside of this home site and she was cooking and she dropped a plate, well, she would just pick the plate up, she would walk it back there and throw it out the window and pick it up at a later time, or I'm picking it up 150, 200 years ago. So I have three ways to try to figure out where the front is and where the back is of your home site. The first one is I want to try to locate where the chimney pile is. Now the chimney pile is right over there. And especially in the South homesteads, they would put the fireplace chimney back on the furthest wall on the back for the summer months because of the heat from cooking. The second way I could tell the back of the house is the stacked rock foundation. This is about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Once you step up into your foundation and start to walk over here where the front would be, one stack of rock. So that tells me that this is the front of the house. That is the back of the house. Now the third way that I tell is I hold a compass in the palm of my hand, and whichever way that compass points true south, that's going to tell you where the front of your house is. Majority of the time in 1700 and 1800, homesteaders would build their house and they would have their front door and majority of their windows facing true south. Now that would give them better lighting from the sun, better heat from the sun. It also would help them with snow drifts. Now majority of the wind would be coming from the north, so they much rather have their snow drifts hit up against their back wall than their front door. And that will play a big role, like I said, once I come in here and metal detecting, because I want to start metal detecting out in there and then leave back in here for another day. Alright guys, the next time I bring you out, we'll be standing in front of the chimney pile. Alright guys, right behind me is chimney rock pile. Majority of the chimneys that I find in my area are made of rock due to the abundance of rocks in the mountains up here. These homesteaders would use any resource that they could find that was free. They didn't want to spend their money. They'd rather spend their money for food than they would for construction of their homes. When they built the homes back in the 1800s, especially up in like in these mountains and stuff like this, it wasn't for comfort. It was for to get out of the weather, pretty much. They weren't big mansions up here in the mountains and stuff. These were homesteader homes. They would try to farm and just make a living out of it. As you can tell, big trees. This tree here probably gave an abundance of shade during the summertime. They didn't have air conditioners back in the day. So when you're out looking for home sites, look for big trees, because that gives you a good indication. It might be a home site around because they liked a lot of shade for their houses in the summertime. Now, after finding this rock chimney pile, it didn't really help me age the home site. But what it did tell me, though, was that when this house was built, they had a fireplace instead of a wood stove. Now, a wood stove didn't come popular up into this area until about the 1830s. And you had to have quite a bit of money to go get yourself a wood stove, too. So it was cheaper for them to make a stone fireplace, make bricks, and for the interior of their fireplace inside their house. After searching through this home site and stuff, have you ever found tons and tons of oyster shells? I've seen it online where people are, looking at our home sites and start finding oyster shells. So I started finding a bunch of oyster shells on this piece of home site. So I went on and I did a little research, as you know, on oyster shells. Now, they used it for stability for food. Then they would take the shell, heat them up, crush them up. He's got pictures online with them standing on them, stepping on them, crushing them, and that would be used for their lime, for their mortar mix, for their bricks, for their interior construction of their fireplaces. Now, for their mortar mix, they would take clay, water, crushed oyster shells used for lime, and horsehair, bonded all together, and that's how they would mix up their mortar to do their interior construction for their fireplaces. And if this fireplace was still standing too, I've done a lot of research on fireplaces, and you can tell by the construction of how they were made to be able to judge the date of the house also, but it's not standing, so I just have to go by what the bricks look like and stuff like that. Other uses for oyster shells, if you start finding quite a bit of oyster shells out on your home sites, would be for stability of food, lime for their mortar mix. They would also crush the shells up, feed it to their chickens for calcium, and then they also would use the half shell to hold a bar of homemade soap. It'd be a good soap holder. See what research does for you? Like I said, I research more than I actually metal detect. I hold on all of these home sites, and that's the reason why I just don't come into a home site and start metal detecting. I like to be able to write down of how I figured out using tips and stuff like that, and research on how I can figure out how old the home site is. So that's what I do. I write it down all in a journal for each home site and label all the relics that I find with this particular home site. So, I mean, it makes a good showpiece, and I can be able to tell people of how I figured out how old this home site was and stuff like that, and show them the relics from this place. Alright guys, I think I'm going to end this video right here. I gave you a few tips and points on how to age a home site. I got probably another 15 to at least a half an hour left tips and clues on how to age a home site. So I think I'm going to end this video here. Don't forget to jump on over and like and subscribe Tag Team Recoveries. Also, if you like these types of videos, go ahead and like and subscribe and share my videos. I'm trying to build my channel up. I'm doing the best that I can do with my health and stuff like that to be able to get here and provide these videos for you. So yeah, videos, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell. I got some more videos coming out real soon. Catch you on the next one.